kind of covers that have like little pockets in them. You put them in. Okay, so where did we get this idea of 3? And the rabbis actually initially only talked about 2. Okay, so we're going to look first at a little piece of Talmud about the 2, and then we're going to try and see where it flipped to being about 3. So on the top of the next page, in the back side, this is from Brachot. It says, this resolution, they're talking about something before, is reinforced in a unique case. As Rav Papa said, everyone agrees that while fulfilling the mitzvah of eating matzah on Passover, one places the piece inside the hole and breaks. What is the reason? With regard to matzah, the phrase bread of affliction, that's the lechem oni, is written, and the poor typically eat their bread in pieces. Therefore, eating matzah on Passover evening, the broken matzah, is also significant. So this is where we get yachatz, right, where we break the matzah and make 1/2 the afikomen. Rav Papa, his idea about the significance of the matzah, here he's talking about 2 pieces, but what is it about eating matzah that brings you back to slavery? Well, poverty, but there's something about the physical state of the matzah. It's broken, right? That it doesn't necessarily matter about the taste of the matzah, the flavor of it, that its symbolic power is its brokenness, right? That matzah is, if we think about being enslaved, we're thinking about being broken people, right? So that's a really important part. And then we get these kind of these are 2 little brief pieces of halacha, of Jewish law, about this part of the Seder. So I just brought these to show you the transition from the Mishnah Torah. This is Maimonides, by the way. He takes 2 cakes of matzah, divides one of them, places the broken half inside the hole, and recites the blessing, Hamotzi lechem min haaretz. Why does he not recite a blessing on 2 loaves as on other festivals? Because Deuteronomy states the bread of poverty. Just as a poor man is accustomed to eating a broken loaf, so too a broken loaf should be used. So on Shabbat, where traditionally you would have 2 chalot, 2 loaves of challah, you'd hold them together to do hamotzi. Here, we still have 2, but you break one and only do hamotzi on one, according to Maimonides, right? Because again, he's picking up on the brokenness, that is what connects us to slavery and poverty as well. Okay, and then the Shulchan Aruch, where this is like a couple hundred years later, this is kind of the very mainstream now kind of tradition of halacha, of Jewish law, says, then he takes the middle matzah, cuts it in 2, and gives half to one of those seated to watch it for the afikomen. And we place it under it and says, halach ma'anya, this bread of poverty, until he gets to the manish tana. So here, it shifted, all of a sudden. What's new here? Now there's 3, right? And there's a middle matzah. It's being used for afikomen, right? This is a new mention of the afikomen. And then the whole, it's still broken. There's still a broken piece, but it's collected together with the whole. So kind of interesting that's how that shift happened. Okay. So getting to our modern times. So there's 2 teachings that I wanted to bring to think about matzah, and you might bring this into your own Seders. So the first is from Rabbi Eli Konfer, who's actually one of the founders of Hadar, which is a wonderful kind of minyan in New York City. He's a great teacher. And he just wrote this in the foreword this week about something that he wants to do at his own Seder, which is to go back to 2 matzahs for this year. And this is part of what he wrote. I propose a very simple but powerful shift in the food at the Seder. Instead of the 3 matzot that are included on the Seder table, usually wrapped or covered in cloth, use only 2. When it comes time to break one of the matzot to hide half for later, the afikomen, we will only have 1.5 matzot left. I'm not recommending a permanent change to the Seder, but this is not a normal year. With more than 130 of our people literally in captivity, the shock of seeing fewer matzot at the table when we are used to seeing plenty is appropriate. In fact, it is a version of the shock the Seder was originally meant to induce. Unlike every other Shabbat and holiday, our bread, like our hearts, will be in pieces. This is the nature of matzah at the Seder, as Rav Papa indicated, a reminder of our people's long suffering and slavery before being redeemed. My prayer is that next year we can celebrate with a full set of 3 matzot again. But for this year, let's mark the suffering of those still in captivity by reducing our plenty and reclaiming the power of the bread of suffering at our Seder. So I thought a very interesting, creative, and like beautifully textually based idea for the Seder, and to do something, as a Seder is meant to do. If something's out of place or we see something different, it's supposed to raise questions or conversation, and so that's a beautiful thing. The other text that I brought, a modern teaching, is from Rabbi Jonathan Sachs of blessed memory, which was obviously, since he died a few years ago, before October 7th, this was written. But he's talking about that transition from the beginning of halach ma'anya, of the bread of poverty, into the bread of redemption with Rabban Gamliel. And I think if you're looking for some moment of hope, that this is actually a very nice teaching. And so he's talking about halach ma'anya. This is a strange invitation. This is the bread of oppression our fathers ate in the land of Egypt, that all who are hungry come in and eat. What hospitality is it to offer the hungry the taste of suffering? In fact, though, this is a profound insight into the nature of slavery and freedom. As noted, matzah represents 2 things. It is the food of slaves and also the bread eaten by the Israelites as they left Egypt in liberty. What transforms the bread of oppression into the bread of freedom is the willingness to share it with others. Sharing food is the first act through which slaves become free human beings. One who fears tomorrow does not offer his bread to others, but one who is willing to divide his food with a stranger has already shown himself to be capable of fellowship and faith, the 2 things from which hope is born. That is why we begin the Seder by inviting others to join us. Bread shared is no longer the bread of oppression, reaching out to others, giving help to the needy, and companionship to those who are alone, I think. We bring freedom into the world, and with freedom, God. So I think as we're thinking about everything that's happening and hunger in particular, this can also be a very powerful way of interpreting this part of the Seder. The last thing I brought is not to necessarily, well, maybe I will read it. I'll read it now. But we just came out with the Pesach shofar. I think hopefully you all saw the email. And there are so many supplements coming out right now. I mean, it's, obviously people are feeling very moved to write reflections, poetry, additions to the Seder. There are 2 really wonderful ones that we put in as reference in the shofar, but I just found this one yesterday by a colleague, Rabbi Evan Schultz, and it really touched me. So I thought I'd share it with you, and if you want to use it at your Seder, feel free. It's about the end of the Seder, the song Echad Mi Yodea, Who Knows One. Who knows one? I know one. One is our people, our family, our faith, our sadness, our joys. Who knows 2? I know 2. 2 are the nations distant and divided by the painful chasms of war. Who knows 3? I know 3. 3 are the legs of the ever-fragile stool that holds up the earth. Who knows 4? I know 4. 4 are the children who ask the questions the adults wish they could answer. Who knows 5? I know 5. 5 is the extra cup of wine filled with saltwater tears amidst the sweetness of the vine. Who knows 6? I know 6. 6 was the day before, the day of celebration, of dancing and simcha. Who knows 7? I know 7. 7 was the day the gates came down and grief overcame us. Who knows 8? I know 8. 8 is the number of infinity and light, growth and beautiful miracles. Who knows 9? I know 9. 9 is the number of fertile possibility, of rebirth and human creation. Who knows 10? I know 10. 10 are the mystical emanations of our distant and beloved Creator crying in the heavens. Who knows 11? I know 11. 11 is 1 and 1, 2 souls like 2 candles reaching across, praying for peace. Who knows 12? I know 12. 12 is a year since we last sat together, a year of pain and loss, a year of chaos and unknowing. Who knows 13? I know 13. 13 is the age of the student to whom we pass the torch to build a world of compassion and love next year in Jerusalem. So I hope everyone, again, is able to have a meaningful Seder that fills you with compassion, with hope, and with community. So we'll turn back as we prepare for the rest of our service to Aleinu on page 586. Please rise.
עלינו לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת גדולה ליוצא בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי הארצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגורלנו ככל המונם. ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים, הקדוש ברוך הוא, שהוא נוטה שמיים ויוסד הארץ, ומושב יקרו בשמיים ממעל, ושכינתו זו בגובה מרומים. הוא אלוהינו אין עוד, אמת מלכנו וזולתו, ככתוב בתורתו. וידעת היום מחשבות אל לבבך, כי אדוני הוא האלוהים בשמיים ממעל, ועל הארץ מתחת. אין עוד ונאמר, והיה אדוני המלך על כל הארץ, ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו אחד.
Please be seated. Turn to page 594 for this reading before the Kaddish. It is a fearful thing to love what death can touch, a fearful thing to love, hope, dream, to be and oh, to lose. A thing for fools this, and a holy thing to love. For your life has lived in me, your laugh once lifted me, your word was gift to me. To remember this brings a painful joy. 'Tis a human thing, love, a holy thing, to love what death has touched. We share the names now of those for whom we recite Kaddish. I invite you, if I share the name of your loved one, to please stand in your place as you honor their memory. We're in Shloshim for Tessie Canavan, Selwyn Colley, and Ruby Sachter. And we mark yahrzeit this week of Chaim Eichenwald, Sam Arbor, Sylvia Sora Arcus, Coleman Balogus, Max Bobroff, Max Brooks,
Marion Kasserer, Lori Cooper, Vivian Dion Cummings, Herschel DeVidner, Judith Kahn Donald, Kay Dunbar, Hilda Everall, Carol Fader, Wolf Faust, Sylvia Finkelman, Miriam Garfinkel, Randy Gorenberg, Deborah Goslin, Riva Holtzberg, Alex Jackson, Abraham Ephraim Javidan, Chaim Cabazo, Maria Koshlev, Mary Leibgott, Bill Levitt, Risa Mann, Roman Moshevich, Renee Nadell, Dr. Murray Nyberg, Brant Parker, Ben Posner, Bruce Rowan, Layla Sachs, Sarah Seltzer-Millman, Hyman Shanin, Harold Slate, Harry Stewart, Jacob Torovsky, Maylor Valence, Elizabeth Dukin Zaks. There are other people who have come to say Kaddish. If you'd like to stand and share their names, I invite you to do so. We stand together as one congregation and invite the mourners and those who choose to join in these words, page 598. Yit gadal v'yit kadash shemei rabba, be'alma divra chirute v'yamlich malchute, b'chai echon uvyom echon uv'chaye dechol beit Yisrael, ba'agala v'zman kariv v'imru amen. Yehi shmei rabba mevorach le'olam u'lamei almaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh v'yitadar v'yitalev v'yitalal shmei dekudsha barichu le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata tushbechata v'nechemata damiran be'alma v'imru amen. Yehi shlam rabba min shemaya v'chaim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav hu ya'aseh shalom Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'al kol yishvei tevel v'imru. Amen. 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 Yizichronam livracha. May their memories always be a blessing. Amen. Amen. So we're going to remain standing for Kiddush and Motzi before we head into our social hall for our Kiddush lunch. Al kein berach Adonai yom Shabbat v'yikadshehu Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri agafen l'chaim. What's a Karl Challah? Exciting. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hamotzi lechem min haaretz. Amen.
Page 631, you'll find the Sephardic Ladino version of Ein Keloheinu. Yes, Violetta, this is for you. Ein Keloheinu, Ein Kadondeinu, Ein Kemakeinu, Ein Kemoshienu, non como nuestro Dios, non como nuestro Señor, non como nuestro Rey, non como nuestro Salvador. Mi Eloheinu, mi Adonenu, mi Chemakeinu, mi Chemoshienu, ken como nuestro Dios, ken como nuestro Señor, ken como nuestro Rey, ken como nuestro Salvador. No del Eloheinu, no del Adonenu, no del Emakeinu, no del Emoshienu, lo haremos a nuestro Dios, lo haremos a nuestro Señor, lo haremos a nuestro Rey, lo haremos a nuestro Salvador. Baruch Eloheinu, Baruch Adonenu, Baruch Malkeinu, Baruch Moshiachenu. Bendito nuestro Dios, bendito nuestro Señor, bendito Rey, bendito nuestro Salvador. Atahu Eloheinu, Atahu Adonenu, Atahu Malkeinu, Atahu Moshiachenu. Tú sos nuestro Dios, tú sos nuestro Señor, tú sos nuestro Rey, tú sos nuestro Salvador. Shabbat Shalom.